Good evening, everyone. I'm Laura Ingraham. This is Ingraham Angle from Washington tonight. Cleaning up for the boss. That's the focus of tonight's Angle. Now, for years, elected Democrats in San Francisco and Democrat governors have said that fixing the homelessness and crime problem was complex and it would take more money and a lot of patience. Police officials told the Angle they felt helpless.
You get to stay out here and do as much drugs.
You can just live out here, do as much drugs as you want.
Yeah, because the injunction about clearing tents and homeless encampments.
So you can't clear it out?
Can't do that, no, right?
Is that a
but
federal?
They want us to, but we can't do it by law, right? A judge says no, unless you can provide a bed for every person you see out.
Residents' complaints about the crime, public fentanyl use, and general filth fell on deaf ears. But it turns out a court order wasn't the problem at all. All they needed was a visit by the guy who really has influence, Chinese President Xi Jinping.
While San Francisco is in the spotlight for the Asia-Pacific Economic Conference, city leaders are making sure the city shines. Caltrans repaving major roadways like the Harrison Street off-ramp from the I-80. BART doubling down by deep cleaning their stations overnight more often. Scrubbing and power washing is happening all over the city.
Yeah, the bottom of my shoes look clean.
It's noticeable how clear the streets look and how few homeless encampments there are on major thoroughfares.
Now, this shows us what total frauds these political leaders are, because they always had the ability to clean up the cities and clean out the drug dens, to send a strong message to criminals, but they chose not to.
Some people say this should be how it's always done.
What about the people who are here year-round, and local, hardworking, working-class Bay Area folks?
The answer, the left cares about power, not about your quality of life. They let the city sink into depravity because changing policies would mean they'd be admitting that their high-tax, anti-police, pro-criminal, pro-drugs policies were wrong. But now, they're kind of like teenage girls primping before a date. Newsom's prettying up things for someone he needs to impress.
I know folks say, oh, they're just cleaning up this place because all those fancy leaders are coming into town. That's true, because it's true. But it's also true, for months and months and months prior to APEC, we've been having different conversations. And we've raised the bar of expectation between the city, the county, and the state.
Oh, we couldn't do that before, but we're so happy to do it now. This is more meaningless blather from him. The truth is, Newsom actually cares about what Xi thinks. Because, remember, he's going to need TikTok influencers to boost his future political ambitions, and he's going to need the pro-China donors from hedge funds and Silicon Valley on his side as well. This requires making Xi's date feel very special. And ditto for the Biden campaign, which is hoping to win over China to reassure Wall Street and to get their concrete pledges on climate change. Now, the entire purpose of this meeting with China is to get a smiling photo op and to signal to the money class here that we want a new era of collaboration with China. Now, how do you think Taiwan is feeling these days? And just as San Francisco Democrats have tried to paper over the suffering and the blight that they incentivized, so too have the liberals in D.C. If you've been here lately, tent cities are growing, and so is open-air drug use. The place has spiraled into a sea of violence and criminality, especially carjackings and car break-ins.
A 15 and 16-year-olds are facing a number of charges connected to a string of armed carjackings.
When it comes to carjacking and stuff like that, it happens so much. It's sad.
D.C. is under siege, and we need help.
So, hearing all this, why was anyone surprised by this story?
Secret Service is saying that just before midnight last night in the Georgetown neighborhood of Washington, D.C., right outside Nome Biden's apartment building, that's one of the granddaughters of President Biden, that Secret Service encountered what they believe were 3 people breaking a window of a parked, unmarked, and unoccupied government vehicle. They say an agent discharged their service weapon. Secret Service says that the offenders immediately fled the scene in a red vehicle.
Now, the first thing that crossed my mind was, what would have happened had a regular citizen shot at those criminals? Well, we know what happened. He'd be in jail right now. Was the Biden granddaughter's life actually in danger? Well, that is what the Secret Service is saying. Glad everyone is okay. The sad reality is this. Just as we saw with the migrants shipped to Martha's Vineyard and, of course, to Manhattan, the elites are often able to ignore the problems that the rest of the America deals with. But when they arrive on their doorstep, oh, they're suddenly forced to answer questions or deal with the consequences. And even if the answers they give are pathetic.
The president has taken action to make sure our communities are safer. Are we concerned? Obviously. Obviously, we want to make sure Americans and their families feel safe, in not just here in D.C., but across communities. But we can't do this alone. We need Congress to act.
Okay, if the voters are okay with those types of foolish answers, then they're going to continue to get bad results. So let's hope from coast to coast, the awakening has begun. And that's The Angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.